Today is Tuesday, July 14th, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. A video of a black teenager in Wisconsin being violently arrested has gone viral on Instagram, but has been largely overlooked by mainstream white media. We'll show you the video and delve into the details of the case and hear from the city as well. Well, folks, white Michigan progressive congressional candidate William Lawrence is facing backlash for comments he made about black elected officials. He says that they're basically defanging the white left. A federal judge has reversed Donald Trump's cancellation of $127 million in grants for black farmers. We'll talk with one of the plaintiffs in the case and a lawyer who fought the administration in court. A new investigation reveals that Elon Musk xAI data centers are releasing significant amounts of pollution into black communities across the country. No shock from that racist. In today's ShopBlackStarNetwork.com marketplace segment, we'll feature a conversation with a husband and wife duo who founded Tribe and Oak, a company that produces clean wax candles. And also, Lamont Bagby, the chair of the Democratic Party of Virginia, will show you what he has to say in terms of what his vision is for building on their majorities in the Commonwealth. Folks, it's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, this video of a black Wisconsin teen being arrested is going viral and is causing a lot of discussion, especially since it appears mainstream white media is ignoring it. It's a typical afternoon with some teens riding their bikes. For an unknown reason, a Waukesha police officer violently handles the black teen when he did not obey his commands to sit down. Luckily, Instagram user Sammy_Stark caught the interaction on video. Watch.
Get off of the bike.
Hold this back. Stop.
Audie, sit down.
You ain't get off.
Audie, sit down.
Audie.
Just sit down. Sit down.
No, I don't gotta sit down.
Put your hands behind your back.
Bro, he's not even doing
Put your hands behind your back.
Not even doing anything.
Bro, I ain't doing anything. Nigga, get off of me, bitch. 619, everyone comes behind. You're gonna get paid. Nigga, get off me.
Bro, you're putting your hands on him for no reason. Yo, we're recording all this.
Leave him alone. Please. Fuck off me, nigga. What are you doing?
Bro, it's not putting your hands on his head, bro.
Go get your deal or something. Go get thrown out.
Here,
you a bitch. You came up here. I saw you doing this for no reason. Leave him alone. Get your higher up. Get your hands off of him, dude. You have no reason.
Everyone go now. Y'all go.
Let him go.
Y'all go.
He came up for no reason.
Whoa.
Why are you pointing at?
Whoa.
What's your game? You're not gonna take her for shit.
Whoa.
You're gonna leave him alone. Put your fucking taser back.
Audie, I'm gonna call y'all TT.
Audie.
Put your higher up.
Hey, go.
Oh.
Have we not talked a lot?
Take my sister
Have we talked
home.
quite a bit?
I'm just asking you.
Why were y'all gonna tase him?
Bro, this is some bullshit.
Go ask people to fucking force study. Look at. You're busy.
I got that all on recording. Y'all did that shit for no reason. Three squad cars for what?
I know him.
Now, Dawn Nyree Smith captured more of what happened when more officers arrived on the scene.
White kids, ain't none of them get arrested. None of them got detained. None of them got touched. He was just with a whole group of white kids. I can see it. He talking.
And he's young.
He 14.
They don't even need that much force.
They done checked his pockets multiple times.
So what? Like, we don't. But that's not okay. They don't all of them hold him down.
The grown man, before any of them got here, it was one grown man that took him down, and he was on the ground already. Before the other 5 police cars showed up. Oh my.
Took him out of the car again, they slammed him again.
Yeah. I saw it. I didn't get that part on video.
I know, me neither.
You got his
Audie, I'm gonna send the video to your TT.
Got you. I support the police. I do.
Free Audie on the day. Free Audie, bro.
Now, my producer called the Waukesha Police Department Chief, Daniel Thompson. She was told he was in a meeting. She left her contact information and the reason why she was reaching out. She also contacted the mayor and every city council member for comment on the incident to ask what led to such a response solely for the black teenager. Now, they did respond, and so give me one second. I want to pull this up here to show you what the response is. So give me one second. This is from the mayor. Give me one second. I'm going to Alicia Halvinsblend is the mayor, and she responded. Give me one second. I want to take it out. I'm going to take it out of the email. So just give me a second. Let me do this here. They just responded to us, and so here we go. Give me one. All right, almost there, folks. Okay. All right. I'll pasted this in. Okay. Okay. So this is the statement from the mayor. The City of Waukesha Police Department is aware of edited videos circulating on social media showing only a portion of an arrest involving a juvenile that occurred near Summit Avenue and Horeb Street Saturday, July 11th at 4:40 p.m. Our officers responded to multiple reports of disorderly behavior involving juveniles operating mini bikes on public streets, sidewalks, and through public park property, while other complaints included unsafe and disruptive conduct. Furthermore, the juveniles were removing gas nozzles and damaging the interior of a gas station. This incident occurred in an area adjacent to recreational facilities frequented by families and children, making public safety our immediate priority. The videos being shared online do not capture the totality of the incident or the circumstances officers encountered before force became necessary. As officers attempted to investigate and lawfully detain one of the juveniles, the individual repeatedly refused lawful commands and actively resisted arrest. Throughout the encounter, officers gave commands and attempted to gain voluntary compliance before using force to overcome the resistance and safely take the juvenile into custody. The City of Waukesha expects its police officers to perform their duties lawfully, professionally, ethically, and with respect for every person they encounter. Those are the standards our officers are trained to uphold, and those are the standards by which we evaluate their actions. Just as importantly, our community also expects individuals to comply with lawful orders issued by police officers. Voluntary compliance is always our preferred outcome, and it is how the overwhelming majority of police encounters are resolved. However, when an individual actively resists lawful detention or arrest, officers have both the legal authority and the professional obligation to bring that resistance to an end. Choosing not to act in those circumstances would compromise public safety, diminish accountability, and fail the community's expectation that the law be applied fairly and consistently. No police officer is expected to simply walk away from unlawful conduct because an individual refuses to comply. Allowing active resistance or assaultive behavior to dictate whether an arrest occurs would place officers, bystanders, and the individual involved at greater risk while encouraging further lawless behavior. Because this incident involves a juvenile, Wisconsin law prohibits the release of the juvenile's identity or confidential juvenile records. While we cannot discuss prior juvenile matters, we can say that officers' actions were based on the circumstances they faced during this incident and their legal responsibility to protect the public and enforce the law. As with every reportable use of force incident, the department has conducted a comprehensive review to ensure the officers' actions were consistent with department policy. We remain committed to transparency, accountability, and maintaining the trust of the community we serve. And again, as you see, that's the mayor, Alicia Halvins-Blinn, mayor, city of Waukesha. Okay, all right. So let's go to my panel. Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA, joining us from D.C. Randy Bryant, entrepreneur, author, speaker from Washington, D.C. as well. Dr. Katrina Gamble, CEO, Sojourner Strategies out of D.C. Glad to have all three of you here. I'm going to start with you, Mustafa. Here's the issue that the mayor didn't address. So in her statement, she says there were multiple reports of disorderly behavior involving juveniles, operating mini bikes on public streets, sidewalks, through public property. They were removing gas nozzles. They, plural. Okay, so the question then becomes, why was the black juvenile the only person accosted?
Well, I can't speak for the officer or the mayor, but we do know that some of the bystanders also said that there were white kids who were there as well. The other thing is that, you know, nobody said that these were the children, because they are children, who were involved in whatever was going on at the gas station or some of the other things. We do know organizations like the Sentencing Project have shared, based upon the statistics and the research that they've been able to do, that black youth are 4 times more likely to actually be detained or to be arrested than white youth. So that statistic is really interesting, just because based upon what the bystanders were saying, that there were both black kids and white kids, and maybe there were other types of kids who were there, but this is the only individual who was, you know, unfortunately arrested. Some would say his rights were violated, and a number of other types of things you can see based upon the video there. Some folks could say he was brutalized. So officers are supposed to serve and protect. They also have discretionary powers to be able to just have a conversation with someone. They don't have to put their hands on them. The other thing that we know, as I close out, is the fact that in many instances, they don't see our children as children, but they see them as adults. And even if it was an adult, you still should not be violating their civil rights or their human rights. But they dehumanize. They don't give the benefit of the doubt. Often there's no proof. So they figure that they can detain, they can arrest, and then figure things out later on. And that is not the paradigm that they operate from when it comes to white kids.
Randy, again, okay, Mayor, were the officers wearing body cams? If so, release the body cams. You can block out the juvenile's face so we don't actually see it, but if you want us to believe that these 2 videos don't show all that happened, okay, release the video. Dash cam, body cam.
Right. And you know, they always hesitate to do that. The chances of us ever seeing that video are small unless we have to get, you know, a lawyer involved. And they take advantage of the fact that sometimes we don't have the resources to hire an attorney and compel them to release the evidence. And so they get away with treating our kids less than human. You know, that it was so hard to watch. I was a 14-year-old child, and I counted 8 police officers And they said, I think there were 6 cars, 5 or 6 cars for a 14-year-old child who was riding a bicycle. And that is the way our children are being treated, because they don't see him as a child. They see him as an animal. I don't even think they see us as people, which is just extraordinarily disturbing. Also, that whole idea of them trying to de-escalate a situation, it seems as if when they see us, that automatically gives them cause to act as if they're scared. They can claim that they had to use aggressive force because they're afraid, just simply for us existing, simply just for the color of our skin. That's how they react, and how they feel comfortable. As I watched this repeatedly, how they felt that this was right to do, all of these officers surrounding one 14-year-old child, is unbelievable to me. It just shows how they do not see us again as human.
Again, Katrina, for me, this is very basic. And that is, if you say that juveniles were engaged in this behavior, why was only one juvenile targeted? And if there were cameras, release it. Release it. I remember when the sister got pulled over in Texas, and I mean, I frankly felt that she was being too extra. I felt that her behavior, and people disagreed, but so I don't always just sit here and say, oh no, every black person, you're absolutely right. If he was disobeying commands, if he wasn't following what they were saying, fine, show us.
Right, and 2 things on this, Roland. One, to your point, the reports were for juveniles, plural, and they were obviously only targeting one child that was there on the street. And the mayor did not address that at all in what they sent to you. And 2, to this point, this was a child riding a bicycle, and you could even see without them, right? They didn't pull up the video, to your point. If they have dash cams or cameras on their body cams, they didn't show that information, but you could see even in the statement that they sent you that they were trying to twist a narrative, right? That, oh, this is how we respond to when people resist or assaultive behavior. We all watched that video. There was no assaultive behavior by that child. The only assault that was going on were the police to this child. And so it's not only about how they responded in that moment, it's also immediately the narrative that starts getting twisted and painted to paint a picture of who was in the wrong, who was in the right, who deserves dignity in the moment, to what both of the other panelists said. They were treating this child like he was not human and that he had no rights. And that's why it's so important for us to capture these moments ourselves, because we can't trust what they're reporting, and we can't trust that the full story will get told if we're not telling it ourselves.
Well, I think back to one of the first cities that got body cameras, and it was in California. And I'm looking for that city. And what was interesting is that when they got the body cameras, you had almost a 70% reduction it was Rialto, California. Right here, that's right. I remember this. So this is 2012. Rialto reported an 88% reduction in complaints against law enforcement officers. And so again, our hope and position is here. That's why you have body cameras. And so if the kid was wrong, okay, release it. But if you haven't released it, it begs us to ask the question, why? Why? So, Mayor, let us know when that video is available. We would love to air it and see what happens. All right, folks, we come back. We're going to talk about white progressive in Michigan rankling members of the Congressional Black Caucus. We'll tell you about that. And also, black farmers get a win against Donald Trump. And with the continued attack, GOP attack or war on Black America. We'll talk about all of that next right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
I'm Ryan Wilson, CEO and co-founder of The Gathering Spot, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Folks, we made it clear anytime there's this attack on black folks by Donald Trump and his administration, we're going to tell you all about it. Well, guess what? A federal judge has ordered the U.S. Department of Agriculture to reinstate $127 million in grants to black farmers and other underserved producers. This decision reverses the Trump administration's cancellation of the funds. The grants are part of the Increasing Land, Capital, and Market Access Program, which the Biden administration established through the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act. This program aims to support underserved black farmers by providing resources such as down payment assistance, low interest loans, technical guidance, equipment, infrastructure development, succession planning, and improved market access. In March, the Trump administration terminated 49 of the 50 grants, citing concerns about what they described as discriminatory preferences related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as allegations of wasteful spending. Sharon Mallory, the executive director of the 2020 Farmers Cooperative, a party to the lawsuit, and one of the attorneys representing the farmers, David Maraskin, the managing director of litigation at FarmStand, join us now. I'm glad to have both of you here. David, I'll start with you. From a legal standpoint, did the judge dismiss that nonsense from the Trump folks?
Well, what it did was it enjoined the terminations and put a preliminary injunction in place, and we're moving to a permanent injunction in place to do what they set out to do, which was restore sustainable farming across the country.
And so, Sharon, obviously this is a win because, listen, black farmers have been under attack. Not only the first time, the first time Trump was there, the second time as well. And again, this is just the latest example of them just slapping DEI on anything.
Yeah, Roland, thank you for having David and myself here both. And yes, make it make sense. I think that's my biggest thing. Make it make sense. But we might not always like how the blessings are come, but it is a blessing to have the grants restored. It will allow us to really focus and move forward and help small scale farmers across the country. You know, the 2020 Farmers Co-op is really unique in that we go from north, south, east, and west. We go above the Mason-Dixon line and west of the Mississippi. So we're totally inclusive in our focus and our mission in trying to assist small scale farmers be able to scale up and compete in this agricultural industry. We just don't buy into the go big or go home. Farmers have been here for a long time.
David, Judge Beryl Howell ruled that the plaintiffs would likely succeed their legal claims and said they would suffer irreparable harm if the funding got canceled. You know, this is for all those people who were whining and complaining during the Biden-Harris administration saying, oh, these federal judges don't matter. Here's a perfect example of they do.
Yeah, I think the law really matters here because what happened was the Trump administration said simply because money was going to help people of color, that meant that it was necessarily discriminatory. And that's really a concern and ridiculous, right? If money is going to help people who need it as Congress intended, the Trump administration can't roll that back. And that's what the court said here, and that's what we've been trying to do and stand with groups like 2020 Farmers Co-op. But this is more than just any specific legal issue. It's also about making sure that there's a platform for farmers and people who need it to get back to where they are to compete in the market and have an alternative to the major corporations, just like Sharon just said.
You know, Sharon, as I sit here and go through this 37-page ruling, the thing that jumps out is Trump is running around here gallivanting, talking about, oh, how he's helping farmers. No, he's helping white farmers. Their actions are punitive against black and other minority farmers.
Okay, Roland, I'm gonna say it again. Make it make sense. But I think where we're at right now is we have to understand that you can pick a color, whatever color you want it to be. There's one commonality in this whole issue, and that is farmers create food that we eat every single day. And we need to stay focused on that. We need to acknowledge that our food system is very frail, and we need to understand that small-scale farmers across the board, pick a color, doesn't matter. Small-scale farmers are here to be solutions to our farming crises. And if we don't accept that, we're only going to dig ourselves further and further into a hole, and we're going to see the price of things go up, and we just need to be very focused. And that's where the 2020 Farmers Co-op really wants to stay, is center of this. We're going to let David and the legal types handle the legal aspect, but we're trying to get our farmers geared back up and say, okay, let's dust ourselves off, refocus, and move forward.
You know, one of the things, I'm reading this, David, the judge writes, defendants overstate the perceived increased burden posed by adding plaintiffs to the compilation and production of the administrative record, given that the new plaintiffs asserts the same, go to my iPad, asserts the same alleged pattern of practice by defendants in the same grant program already at issue. I mean, what was interesting, I mean, she's just in here and she is just eviscerating the Trump Department of Justice or the USDA and just showing how just utterly ridiculous their arguments are.
Well, one of the things we're trying to do in this case is show that these terminations are not just isolated instances, but they're part of a pattern by which the Department of Agriculture set out to terminate grants that the administration thought it could label as objectionable. So we have documents that suggest that what happened was the Department of Agriculture searched for things like DEI or underserved. And if it got a hit, the grant would be terminated. Similarly, if the grant had the terms in it like climate or climate change or environmental justice, the grant would be terminated. And that's what really the court's getting at, is that these groups are trying to operate and do the best they can to provide services that Congress said everyone needs and we as a society need, to take back our food system from corporate giants who control it and put it in the hands of the people on the ground. And what the Trump administration did is, rather than allowing that to play out, they engaged in these culture wars through ham-handed efforts to label anything that they could find to be objectionable, discriminatory, whatever label they thought could capture the attention of their base.
I love this here, Sharon. The judge says, land access program plaintiffs are likely to succeed on their claim if the grant terminations were contrary to law. This court has previously recounted that the land access program originated with Section 1006 of the American Rescue Plan Act, entitled USDA Assistance and Support for Socially Disadvantaged Farmers, Ranchers, Forest Land Owners, and Operators and Groups, which appropriated funds for supporting the designated people or groups. The 2022 Inflation Reduction Act amended that section and appropriated funds for programs to benefit underserved farmers, ranchers, or forest landowners, including veterans, limited resource producers, beginning farmers and ranchers, and farmers, ranchers, and forest landowners living in high poverty areas, and to provide financial assistance to farmers, ranchers, or forest landowners determined to have experienced discrimination prior to January 1st, 2021 in Department of Agriculture farm lending programs. As a result, the statute employs the term socially disadvantaged multiple times and defines this term as meaning people who have been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice because of their identity as members of a group without regard to their individual qualities. Nevertheless, defendants still, quote, attempt to recast the statute as one that contemplated aid to growers based purely on financial status, a position previously determined to have been not credible. So what jumps out here is here was the Biden folks being very explicit as to who can qualify. And the Trump folks are like, oh yeah, we're just gonna just wipe them out. No, we ain't helping nobody black. Well, they said no. People who actually experience racial discrimination in this program prior to 2021.
Yeah, Roland, I think when you read that, I was thinking to myself, what is it that you didn't understand? The language was very clear, and I think the judge did a great job in articulating that. But once again, I want to remain focused because this is larger than a specific racial group. And yes, we all understand the tragedies, the atrocities that have been placed upon black farmers. But if we go down this rabbit hole of letting somebody distract us, and this is what I think this is a distraction. The blessing is well received. I am so glad that these dollars have been restored. It will give us a little bit of wind beneath our wings, and we hopefully flourish. Not even hopefully, we will flourish. Just give us a little bit and let's show us the difference, because I think we are powerful as a group of small scale farmers. And if we're given this opportunity to prove ourselves, I know for a fact we can help local communities. I just don't understand what the issue was, or
I do.
Who doesn't want to go without eating?
I know exactly what the issue is, David. This is an administration that again has a war on black people. They want to wipe out any particular issue program that somehow benefits or actually provides equity to African Americans and others. This is not just in USDA, it is across the board. It is in every single governmental agency. And this is why we have got to have lawyers who are attacking these folks in court. You got to have folks in court, you got to have folks in corporate, you got to have folks on the grassroots who are on the streets, in politics as well, because this is a wholesale attack. It is not just targeting black farmers and USDA. It is targeting black people in every federal agency. David, final comment.
I think Sharon really said it well. This is more than just about a USDA attack against a particular group, but it's about a government that's turned itself over to corporate interests and not let us lay the groundwork to have an alternative system. And that certainly is negatively impacting black farmers, but it's negatively impacting lots of people too. Trump administration thought it could throw red meat by attacking black farmers here and attacking groups that said they were trying to support people on the ground who needed it. But really what's going on is they're keeping us from having a food system that isn't corporate controlled. And there's a lot of overlap in our history and in our present day between racial bias and corporate control. And I think you're seeing that go hand in hand here in terms of favoring corporate control and having that be having racial bias be a tool for that.
All right, then. Well, congratulations and keep up the fight. David Maraskin, as well as Sharon Mallory, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
Listen, what we have to just understand here is that you're going to see more of this. Again, they are attacking everything. We keep trying to explain to people why voting in November is critically important. We keep walking people through and connecting the dots. I know there are people out there who are saying, okay, you know what, none of this stuff impacts me. I'm just living my life. I'm just trying to survive. But the reality is, guess what? There are black farmers who have families who are trying to survive as well. And this goes beyond. This is in this area. We're going to later show you this back and forth with Congresswoman Summer Lee and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Talking about the issue of black maternal health and what happens by not trying to use the word black. And Katrina, we had you on talking about again the survey y'all did. I just need people to understand what's going on here. That black folks had better understand that if these people have unfettered political control for another 2 years, the stuff that they're going to wipe out is going to be enormous. And even if a Democrat wins in 2028, it's going to take, to be perfectly honest, a decade or two to restore the things that Donald Trump and MAGA has destroyed in the last 2 years.
No, absolutely. It's definitely, I think people have already seen the impacts of this administration. And the one thing when I was reading about this particular story was the complete erasure of history. There are so many instances in this country where Black farmers have had to sue the USDA because of discrimination. So this idea that there's some problem with moving grants and resources to a population of farmers who have, for honestly decades and decades, have been pushing back against discrimination is ridiculous, honestly. And I agree with you, Roland. There is a lot of work for us to make sure people understand the consequences of this election and creating ways in which people can begin to find ways to engage and understand, like, what's their skin in the game in this election. I think this is one story, but there are many, many other stories that we can tell to make that case.
Mustafa, my dear friend Joe Madison would always say, you got to put it where the goats can get it. And this is an example of how we have to walk people through and explain to them this. And all of a sudden, when people wake up and go, oh, damn, wait a minute, hold up. They changed all of that? Yes, they changed all of that.
Yeah, it's the cumulative effects, right, of this devilish administration and their sets of actions that are going on. So whether we're talking about Black farmers, so for somebody to say it has nothing to do with me, it says something about that individual. But as you said, you have to help to educate, because some folks might just not know. So, you know, of course, my grandfather was a Black farmer, but we know that there have been tens of billions to hundreds of billions of dollars that was stripped away from Black farmers, which means it was stripped away from our community, which means that it has impacted generational wealth and the ability to be able to give to organizations that support our communities, to be able to make sure more kids are going to colleges, hopefully HBCUs. When you look at this administration, everyday people should understand that they are literally shortening your life, and they're shortening the sets of opportunities. If you look at what happened with the elimination of the environmental justice program and programs throughout the EPA system, that means that you are now, you no longer have a voice in helping to protect yourself from the air pollution and water pollution and the other types of things. When we look at Black maternal health and women and Black babies dying 2 to 3 times at the rate of white women, you should care about that, because those are your aunties. It might be your mom. It might be a whole bunch of different types of folks. When we look at what's been going on in relationship to transportation and things they've done there, or over at HUD, making making housing less affordable, and that goes back to Black wealth again. Every one of their actions either has an impact on your health or your wealth, and that is the lens that we should be looking through as we continue to push to make sure judges are in place who interpret the various laws that are out there fairly, and making sure also that, our sets of experiences are being brought forward, because if we don't, these folks are not going to stop. That's why you got to get engaged in the civic process, because you will turn around and literally have no wealth in the Black community. You'll have more sickness and more death. And if that doesn't motivate you, then I don't know what will.
Absolutely. Again, they want to slap DEI on everything, Randy, and it is just a flat out consistent attack on all things Black.
Right. I mean, when they essentially got rid of DEI, it gave them permission to send us back 60 years. What DEI was designed to do is really to consider other people and our real history in this country, and not just Black people. But speaking of Black people specifically now, when we're talking about farmers, for instance, you hear white farmers talking about how proud they are because this land, that farm, has been in their family for generations, and how they've worked for generations this farm. And that shows their lack of just understanding, because Black people did not have that opportunity. We were not able to work the land for 6 generations because we were enslaved. And so this is why you create DEI programs, because we are not starting from the same place that they are. But they try to suggest that DEI is to help people who are less qualified, less talented, that we're asking for a handout. All we're asking is for people to look at the reality of this country, the history, although it may make some uncomfortable, it is real, and to act accordingly. So, of course, if someone has had the ability to work something now for, a century, and we haven't, we are going to need some assistance to buy that first piece of property. And that is what those land grants were there to do, is provide us assistance to be able to compete fairly. But this administration does not like fair whatsoever. They really just want to cheat and get everyone out their way, and they don't want people like us to have an opportunity.
So, folks, I mentioned what took place on Capitol Hill when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. testified before a House committee. And, man, he went at it with Congresswoman Summer Lee of Pennsylvania. And this is a perfect example of what happens when they want to erase Blackness from public policy.
Secretary Kennedy, I'm sure you're aware that Black women are at least 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women. The vast majority of those deaths are preventable. Black women in my district are more likely to die during pregnancy than their peers in 97% of U.S. cities. Your written testimony mentions maternal and child health 4 times, but from what I've seen, the NIH canceled grants researching Black maternal health. Your administration's fiscal year 27 budget proposes eliminating Healthy Start, which is one of the federal government's primary community-based maternal health programs. And you've made it a priority of HHS to end diversity, equity, and inclusion. So yes or no, my question for you is, if a medical school or a public health school educates students about addressing the Black maternal mortality crisis, would you consider that an illegal DEI?
No.
No, you would not?
No.
Great. I do hope for the medical schools, the universities, and the accreditors, your administration has been threatening that they're watching this and take this directive to continue teaching about and addressing the Black maternal mortality crisis. And I expect your agency to restore and expand funding and support for that work. Also, yes or no, do you think consuming more protein and avoiding Tylenol will prevent Black women from dying 3 times more likely during a pregnancy?
I doubt it. Tylenol doesn't kill you.
So then why aren't you putting forth serious policies that actually address the health crises in this country, instead of just these unserious conspiracy theories and this wellness influencer mess that we...
Do you want me to answer that question, or are you just talking?
No, it's a question.
We are doing more on maternal health than any other administration.
No, I said Black maternal health.
On maternal health.
The Black maternal health.
That includes Blacks and whites.
But the thing is that they're actually not the same outcomes, which means that we need specific and intentional interventions for Black maternal health and Black infant.
Can I finish? I'm saying.
Are you going to answer that?
Yeah, we have right now, we've implemented a perinatal pilot project that we're in 220 hospitals around the country. And we have reduced maternal health mortalities by 42% at those hospitals by providing them protocols.
Can you please share what the reduction has been for Black maternal health?
Across the board, it's 42%.
But Black maternal health still has worse outcomes than other people.
I wouldn't know. It helps everybody.
But it isn't.
You object to that?
Okay, thank you. It is not. I do want to just, for the record, state that. It does not help everyone. Your agency told programs to remove a list of nearly 200 words and phrases from their funding applications, including the word Black. Do you have an idea of how we could solve the Black maternal mortality crisis if we can't say Black?
President Trump is trying to end division in this country, not sow division.
Not eviction.
During the last 4 years. That's what DEI did. It divided people. It polarized people.
No. We're not talking about eviction. We're talking about healthcare.
I'm calling about DEI.
We're talking about healthcare.
Yeah.
Disparities. So what we're asking is if you attack DE&I and then we have a crisis that impacts one population over another, but you cannot direct specific spending or research or interventions to that population, how do you solve the problem?
Do you think the federal government should be paying for DEI?
I think the federal government has a vested interest in ensuring that its citizens survive childbirth.
Well, we are meeting that obligation.
We are not.
Oh, that I can explain to you how we are.
You have not done so far. But also I would say that, we can improve healthcare for everybody at the same time as helping the people who are most likely to die. That's what DE&I, well, first of all, DE&I makes sure that we have Black doctors or women doctors. Or that we're talking about the fact that we have a mortality rate that is not matched by any other country as what we would call developed as ours.
That right there explains it all, Randy. First, the sheer stupidity of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and how their attacks on DEI is having a negative impact on the Black maternal outcomes of black women.
It's having a direct impact on us. It is well known, and he knows the stats, but he doesn't care about the stats, that we are 3 times more likely to die in death, regardless of education, level or socioeconomic level. There is nothing we can do. We have heard stars come out like Serena Williams and talk about how they almost died. And so there was money set aside to solve that problem. Let's figure out why Black mothers are not surviving. And also there's an increase, there's a higher chance of our children not living. You would think that a country that cared about all of its citizens would care about dealing with that specific issue. And yet what they're trying to act like is that they're dealing with maternal health by treating everybody the same. Because when they got rid of DEI, what the Supreme Court essentially said is that the United States has been and continues to be colorblind. Now, you're not going to find one person of color. None of us Black folks are going to ever agree to that. But that makes them feel better. It's so interesting to me that he said that DEI is what tore us apart, not the Jim Crow laws, not all the discrimination that goes on, the bad practices they did, but the actual solution that DEI, because then it was we at least were talking about it and trying to find solutions. That is what divided us. See, though these people don't like to feel uncomfortable with the truth of America, and if you challenge them in any way, that's when they become upset. They don't care about our real problems. And they don't, frankly, care about the fact that we die at such a higher rate by simply just having children.
Well, Katrina, it's also because they deny that systemic racism exists. So therefore, their whole deal is, well, we shouldn't do anything specific for y'all. Is she saying, wait a minute, died 3.5 times more than white women? That's say, wait a minute, hold up. Let's throw the services there. It reminded me of when a lot of the AIDS money kept going to largely white male gay organizations. And it was like, you do know that the face of HIV/AIDS had changed, and they wouldn't change the funding. And you should be targeting the problem. They don't want to do it because that means you have to acknowledge that race plays a role in this.
Exactly. And that's what I was talking about earlier when we were having this discussion about this erasure of history. This is a country where systemic racism is built into the fabric of how this country was built. And so for us to try to deny the impact of that is ridiculous. And to your point about on the mortality rate, when she was citing the statistics, it was like he was totally ignoring it. The data shows that we are disproportionately impacted. There's disparities for Black women giving birth. And even they are trying to eliminate any conversation of race in the discussion of the history of this country and the implications on any number of policies. I mean, we saw it even in the Calais decision that came down in April, right? Oh, there's no difference across race in terms of people's ability to exercise their vote power. We've been seeing this coming, and they're hitting every single institution, from things that impact our health, from things that impact our political power, to things that impact our pocketbooks. It is like a consistent, concerted assault on Black people. And the way that they're doing it is to say, oh, race doesn't matter. A rising tide lifts all boats. Well, if my boat has a hole in it, no, a rising tide doesn't lift all boats. And so that's not a measure of the impact on if we're actually solving the problem for the Black community.
Mustafa?
Well, you got to remember, this is the party of family values. This is the party that's always talking about keeping babies alive. This is the party, of course, that's against women being able to choose about their own health care and how they want that to play out in their lives. So, they get nervous when you talk about disparities, when you talk about disproportionate impacts, because that then puts a spotlight on who's being disproportionately impacted. How are disparities actually playing out? In this context, who's dying and who's living? Who's receiving the resources that are necessary to be able to live, and who have the programs that are being cut that are helping Black women to actually be able to live? So we just got to make sure that we put this in the proper context, that when they say they're a party of family values, we know exactly who they're talking about. They're not talking about Black families. They're not talking about Black women. They're not talking about Black babies, because if they were, they would make sure that they did what was necessary to keep those folks alive.
Yeah, goes to show you they're not pro-life. They're pro-white life. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. More on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Black Star Network. Second half of the show, we'll talk about this white progressive in Michigan has rankled some members of the Congressional Black Caucus. Folks, don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. That goes to support this show and the other shows here on the Black Star Network. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use a Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That's also for credit cards. And everybody who gives during the show, I will give you a shout out while we are live. That's right. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're in Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
My name is Bill Duke, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Congressional Black Caucus is firing back at a white progressive in Michigan who made some comments in 2024. William Lawrence, first of all, the Huffington Post dropped this article about William Lawrence's 2024 comments he made on his podcast, Hegemon, which featured conversations about social movements and politics. During the conversation, he said black U.S. political leaders are a pillar of the capitalist, imperialist American establishment whose backing for Democratic leadership defangs the white left. Listen.
If you have concluded that there is a problem with racist policing in the U.S., then we implore you to consider that those police departments, they see a connection with the Israeli project, and so we think you should too. And we think that you should also see a connection with and identify with, the Palestinian freedom struggle. The other piece, the last thing I'll say about just in response to your question, that is like this interesting factor, and it is related to the question of the moral authority of kind of the Black freedom struggle, is that it's very clear that Biden's re-election campaign, the orientation is the Black vote. I mean, there's a kind of calculation that I think they've made from the start, but that's clear. It's clearer than ever. They're like, all right, I don't know. We've probably lost, the so-called Arab vote and the Muslim vote. I hate the way they talk about these kind of reductionist demographic categories. But maybe we can get the Black vote. And so the fact that Biden gave this commencement address at Morehouse College, which was pretty painful to watch as a Black person, as a Black leftist, really the Morehouse administration so in such a crass way kind of lend its platform to Biden in a way that was it's just so cynical. The move by the Biden administration is it's so cynical to say, we know that the majority of Americans want a ceasefire. We know that young people in particular are absolutely appalled by U.S. support for Israel. But this place, which is kind of the crown jewel of historically Black colleges, the fact that Biden can give this commencement address is a gesture toward the notion that this is a progressive administration. And so that is something for us to grapple with, actually, like recognizing that it's not just that we recognize the significance of the kind of political and moral, if you will, significance, or the political significance of the moral authority, and credibility of the Black freedom struggle. It's not just that we recognize that, it's like power recognizes that. Biden recognizes that. The White House recognizes that. And therefore, that is a contested space that we need to show up to.
I mean, how do you feel? What do you think is the trajectory as a millennial Black leftist? It's not something I can talk too much about because I'm white and it's not my struggle. That being said, like the extent to which the older generation of Black political leadership are such of a pillar, frankly, for establishment, capitalist, imperialist, American power, through their role, as this kind of traditionalist, establishmentist pillar of the Democratic Party, it's a big problem. It's a big problem for left politics in this country, and it gets us every single time, and it really defangs the white left, puts us in impossible positions. Really, it's very effective politically, and so I don't know. I'm curious. But we're also seeing, now that, unfortunately, don't want anyone to vote for Trump, but like young Black people are falling away from the Democratic Party, and the support is not showing up in the same way. We'll see what happens in November.
Okay, so Lawrence gave this statement to HuffPost. I have tremendous respect for Black community leaders who have been at the forefront of the fight for freedom for centuries. This was in the context of a wide-ranging conversation with a guest on the show about the racial dynamics in progressive politics. I regret how this specific point was expressed. Now, the Congressional Black Caucus Political Action Committee, they weighed in and they were not at all happy with what he had to say, blasting his decision. We tried to get the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus on the show, Yvette Clarke, but she was unavailable. Now, we also, of course, showed the news conference yesterday where Congressman Hakeem Jeffries said he had not had a conversation, but he did say those comments were brought to my attention and they are deeply disturbing. And the CBC PAC said this is what they also tweeted: anyone supporting William Lawrence should denounce his hateful remarks and withdraw their support. Michiganders deserve better. Let's go to my panel now. So first of all, William Lawrence is going to be on Friday's show. I look forward to the conversation. What immediately jumps out at me and Mustafa, first of all, I understand that he was having a conversation with someone else. And this is the point that I made when it came to Democratic Socialist, winning in New York City, winning mayor in D.C., winning a race in Colorado. And when he makes the point about defanging the white left and then saying that, oh, Biden wasn't progressive. Okay, it now begins to cause you to then go, all right, do you want to make a progressive argument or do you want to win? Now, I know for a lot of people, they go, and just like, look, I understand, even if you talk about Gaza, I mean, I've seen this back and forth where folks have said, well, you know, Miriam Edelson has been supporting James Tallarico, so therefore you shouldn't vote for Tallarico. I'm from Texas. If you're not from Texas, please shut the hell up. Mm-hmm. Because the option is Ken Paxton. And see, this to me is where white progressives lose the argument. And the argument is, do you want to win? If you don't win, you have no power. If you don't win, you can't actually put in any agenda. If you don't win, you then are left with a right agenda, like Donald Trump and MAGA. I go back to 2016. A bunch of white progressives felt that Hillary Clinton was too center-right. Oh, she was a war hawk and all of that. And guess what? Trump wins, and he got to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices. I wonder what they then say about the attacks on her. And that, to me, is the problem that I have with progressive left not understanding that all of America does not look and vote the same based upon where you're located.
Yeah. Well, I put it under the framing of the audacity of caucasity. And that means that it can be Democrats or independents or Republicans who often don't fully understand that when you're talking about Black folks, one, we're not monolithic, but we do focus upon the issues that not only impact our communities, but because of all the struggles and wins that we have been able to help make happen, that they often benefit many others as well inside of our country. And they lose that point, right? Because, you know, we are progressive, if you want to label it that way, on some issues, and on other issues, we're a bit more moderate, sometimes even more conservative on financial related issues. And they sometimes want to just make it seem like that we are out here in center field by ourselves, instead of understanding that we think critically about all the issues that impact our communities. So that's why I'm never really surprised, and I work with all kinds of folks, but I'm never surprised when people pull off the veneer of who they truly are and what they truly believe.
See, Randy, when is a perfect example. It's a perfect example. And man, I wish I could pull it up. So when I interviewed Yank Yeager, do you know what he told me? He said, Roland, I think this was in 2023. It was for his book. He said, Roland, the best example of the right progressive in Congress is Senator John Fetterman. Straight up. Straight up. Y'all find that clip. Find that clip. He literally said that. And I was like, and he was going on and on and on about how if we want to change this country, we got to have more progressives like John Fetterman. And I went, okay, taking your argument, that's one. How do you get to 218 in the House? How do you get to 51 votes or 60 votes in the Senate? And now we know, of course, exactly how John Fetterman, or who John Fetterman really is. And this right here is what I will consistently say is the problem with this notion of progressives. That when you look at the country, when you talk about congressional races are about that district of 700 to 850,000 people. So you might be a far left progressive or progressive Democrat, but the district of Sanford Bishop in Georgia is not the same as AOC in New York. But Sanford Bishop is a Democrat in Georgia. And you need Sanford Bishop to win in order for you to get to 218 so you can control the House.
Right, exactly right. I mean, I find let me say this. I really don't I love the way he started his response, whereas I can't speak on it because I'm a white man. And I wish he had kind of left it there. I'm always somewhat uncomfortable when white people speak on Black issues and what we're doing because they can't possibly get it any more than I could speak intelligently about something with a man, or how a man is feeling about something. It's just not possible. So to me, it takes a bit of arrogance to think that you know better about something that you have no experience in. Second, I find that progressives are passionate about issues, and I do think they're worthy of listening to because it does matter when it comes to voting. But I don't think sometimes they understand that, one, there's a two-party system, and like you said, you are trying to win. You're trying to win, so you have to be somewhat moderate because you're trying to satisfy a whole constituency of people. And that disappoints people who are typically, I find them to be one single issue voters or maybe two issues. And they think that issue should run everything and everyone is going to vote the same way because they're just as passionate about the issue as you are, or at least should be. And that's not the reality because like you said, it all comes back to winning.
Yeah, I mean, I just, Katrina, here's a perfect example. In early 2024, the Trump campaign were running, the PACs, they were running commercials on Black radio stations, and they were talking about transgender athletes. And I remember listening to the commercial, and I remember sending a text message to folks on the Biden campaign. And I said, are y'all paying attention to this? And they were like, oh yeah, that's not having any impact. And it was a trial run. Because what then happened was they started dropping the television ads. In every football game, basketball game. I remember, I swear, I was in a red state. I don't know where I was. We were covering stuff. And I remember I was watching a game, Katrina. I swear I saw that commercial 8 times. I swear the one that included Charlemagne and DJ Envy, Kamala Harris's comments about surgery for a transgender prisoner. And I knew what I was hearing. I knew that the issue of transgender athletes was not going well with a lot of Black men. I also knew that the issue of abortion, reproductive rights, for a large part of the black community, problematic. Now, if you are a hardcore progressive, you have to understand, and this is not just black people, because those issues play differently when you're talking about Latino voters, especially those who are Catholic. So the point is, how do you put together a coalition that includes different people? Because again, the object is to win. You can have these absolutely progressive candidates in one part of the country, and if you think folk can run like that in other parts of the country, you're nuts, and you're not going to win. Connor Lamb could not run like that for Congress where he was in Pennsylvania, because outside of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is Alabama. People don't even realize, outside of Flint, Detroit, Pontiac, it's a lot of red in Michigan. And so this is what progressives are going to have to understand. Everybody cannot run as a far left progressive if you actually want to have a majority in the House and in the Senate, or even win the White House.
Right. I think for me, this idea of, this idea of like the goal is to just win. I think that's like only the first step, right? Because there's like a myriad of examples of where where folks, like a particular party has won and the lives of people has not changed at all. So to some degree, I think I just want to push back on it that like, it's like, either do you want to be progressive or do you want to win? Like, I don't think it's like a either or. Like, there is like the larger math of like, how do you gain congressional power? But I do think that there is a role to push on this, push a bit on like once we win, like what actually
Oh, absolutely.
happens. You brought it up at the beginning with like with Fetterman for whatever the point is. It's like having like a majority of Democrats doesn't mean that things are actually going to deliver things for our people. So Kyrsten Sinema,
Joe Manchin in Virginia, right? And what I recognize politically is that when you actually look at the Democrats compared to the Republicans, I've said this for the longest: Republicans, you're either right or far right. That's it. There's no such thing as a moderate Republican. It doesn't exist. The Democratic Party, you've actually got center right, center left, you've got progressive, you've got far progressive. You actually have a much larger tent. Democrats have to piece together. They got to piece together a broad coalition to get the 218. They do in the House. And 51 in the Senate. It's not the same as it on the right. And politically, you have to actually deal with that reality. And so the question then becomes, all right, what are the policies you're pushing? When you win, when you get power, what are you actually changing? And again, when I hear people say the Biden administration wasn't progressive, then I go, compared to what? And that is an issue that you have to deal with, because I remember people like, yo, he ain't go hard enough on student loans. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Did you not? It went to the Supreme Court. And so this is this tension, because I then even asked the question, Katrina, when somebody tells me, this is a real progressive, I then go, okay, what does that actually mean? What does it actually mean?
Right.
And I want people to define that.
I I agree with you to this point that, right, like the Democratic Party is like much more diverse ideologically, and so I think that was the point that I was making is do we want to get like do you want to win a majority in Congress? Yes, but there is like a value in having a diversity of people in there, some with progressive voices that is going to push class just like very moderate policies that in some instances like aren't creating like significant change for our communities. It's like to the point of like why sometimes people feel cynical, and so I do think that there is value. But to your point is like where are the opportunities, like where there's like viability to like have more progressive elected officials in office to like make what that chamber looks like more diverse. And to some degree, when we were listening to the original clip, the other thing that I was thinking about was even in the course of this conversation, like Black people are not all the same.
Nope.
Right? Like we're saying like Black people feel this way about abortion, Black people feel this way about this issue. We are diverse within ourselves, right? Like we have ideological diversity, we have agency, and in some cases, us not falling into that narrative that like Black voters are going to do some predictive thing, it gives us power because that demands of the people who are running for office, the people who are already in office, they have to convince us of why they deserve our vote. And so I do think this idea of like kind of talking about Black people as a monolith, both in terms of how he was talking about Black leaders and also about how we talk about Black voters, it actually diminishes our power in this democratic process. And so I think, anyway, that is the one other additional point that I wanted to make in this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it is a worthwhile discussion, Mustafa. But I still go back to, again, when I hear phrases, when somebody says, I'm a progressive, I then go, what does that mean? What does that mean? What is your position on a host of issues? That's what I want to know, which then causes to say, okay, all right, so if you say you're progressive on these issues, got it. What did you actually get passed? What did you actually, I mean, that the hit on Senator Bernie Sanders is that he's been there a long time. What did he actually get passed? If you actually say who's one of the most effective Democrats in the House, it's Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. When you look at policy. But this thing to me right here is what white progressives are going to have to listen, if you will, and actually understand that your worldview is not the worldview of all Democrats. This is why I keep getting pissed off when people act like Mondani is he's the future of the Democratic Party. And he got elected the same year as the brother in Cleveland, the brother in Birmingham, the brother in Atlanta, and it's as if those mayors didn't exist. That, to me, is the mistake that progressives make, is that you have to understand that there are different pockets of the country that don't simply agree with your position on a number of things. So the question then becomes, do you demand candidates that are of like mind and they lose, and then you get a right-wing candidate in, and then what type of policies are they going to implement? That's really what you have to contend with here.
That is, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? Because, you know, there are a number of different issues that are out there that are incredibly important, but you have to be able to, one, build a coalition. Two, you have to be able to actually make real change happen in people's lives so that they see that the vote that they gave you actually yielded something. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes we have folks who just want to be loud and who just want to get attention. And that does not necessarily change the lives of folks in Mississippi, doesn't change the lives of folks who are in Georgia, done changed the lives of folks in lots of different places across our country. Folks are looking for somebody who sees them, who hears them, who understands their pain, and is willing to move forward on policies that will help to change that dynamic. So whatever label you want to use, the most important thing is that we're actually doing something that matters and that will help not only this generation, but the next generation to be in a better position. And if you do that, then you're beginning to move in the direction that this democracy actually needs.
You know, you always got these dumbasses, Randy. I got this fool sports actuary in chat. Like, oh, here's Roland shilling. No, it's called reality. And this, Randy, is the problem that people don't seem to understand. Politics, first, Ron Kirk, when he was the mayor of Dallas, we were talking one day, and Ron Kirk said, Roland, let me explain. He said that these people understand. Either you have the votes or you don't. He said, when I'm sitting there on the dais and I got council members who are yelling and screaming, he said, I ain't got to say nothing. He said, I got the votes right here. He said, you need votes. You need votes to win. Now, what role do people serve? Do you need politicians in your party pushing as aggressively as possible? Absolutely. Do you need people in the streets pushing aggressively as possible? Absolutely. There's a difference between winning wars and winning arguments on television. And I think back to 1964. I think back to Atlantic City with the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. Fanlou Hamer, Bob Moses, they went there and they said, we need to integrate the Mississippi delegation. And LBJ was concerned about winning the South, holding the South, beating Barry Goldwater. And so he told Walter Reuther, after they continued not accepting compromises, he said, you make it clear, you tell King, accept the compromise or he gets his labor funding pulled. So what does King do? King accepts the compromise. Now, Fanlou Hamer, Bob Moses were angry. They were going off on Bayard Rustin. King says, I will take a win in 64. He said, because the promise they're going to integrate delegations in 68. And they were angry. They said, we ain't waiting for 68. He said, we couldn't get it in 64. He had to make a strategic decision. One, do I completely lose funding for the entire movement on this issue, or do I accept this compromise in 64? And what ended up happening? In 68, there were integrated delegations. And so he had to make a choice at that moment. And that's the thing that I believe when you look at politics or anything else, you push as hard as you can. You push and push. But there comes a point when you have to accept the reality that you didn't win. So do you completely chuck everything and say, well, I didn't get everything I wanted, so therefore I'm not supporting this? Or do you say, I'm going to accept as much as I can today, but I'm coming back tomorrow for more?
I agree with you completely. I probably, people would consider me what they would call a progressive in a lot of ways. I certainly, read in that direction and, listen to a lot of people in that vein. But there's two things can be true at once, right? So I can believe in a policy. I can believe, let's say, reparations need to happen immediately. Let's say that is something I believe in. But do I believe that if we put up a candidate tomorrow that would appeal to the population because I want us to win? No. So politics have sometimes to be somewhat separate from your way of thinking at that time. And what you hope, and we need progressives, we need to think, we need to get ideas and think about our people. But if we're talking about getting elected by a whole, and you have to then be strategic. And those ideas of, it's easy for me to romanticize of what I want this world to be. And I do that, and that is important. We all should be doing that and work hard to create the world that we want for ourselves. But the way we get to where we want to be is within a system right now. It's in a two-party system. It's where we're going to have to make some concessions. It's where we are having to work with and consider all different sorts of opinions. So what can we do where we are moving forward, and getting elected? Because we cannot get elected if we are not creating a model, a platform that other people can get behind. I mean, it is at the end of the day about the numbers, and you want to win. And so we want to get our candidate in there. So we may have someone who we say, this person is fantastic. I love the ideas this person has, but can that person win in the election? Because if we can't win, all we do is have that great person with his great ideas sitting at home, writing great articles. That's it. And so I believe sometimes people, don't understand that there's two different things happening here, and the two things can coexist.
I'll give you an example, Katrina. I'll give you an example that a lot of people don't even recognize or talk about. So Trump wins in 2016. They come in, and then his son-in-law is basically leading the effort with the First Step Act. And he was negotiating with Hakeem Jeffries. And I remember the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee rolling up on me at a Houston Rockets game. And she was upset with my commentary on the First Step Act. And it's not good enough. The bill's not good enough. And I say, I understand that. But what happened was it passed the House. But when it went to the Senate, you had Chuck Grassley, Republican, head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Dick Durbin. They were like, no, bill ain't good enough. So they fought that fool from Arkansas, Cotton, and they strengthened the bill. But here's the thing that people forget that also happened. They forget that they had a stronger bill before the election. That a much stronger bill, I don't think it was called the First Step Act, but it was a lot stronger than even what got passed. And you know what happened? Democrats said, well, no, you know what? Why don't we do this here? Why don't we hold off on passing this bill? Because when Hillary wins, we can get a stronger bill. She didn't win. And there were advocates who were going, take the win. Take the win when you have it. And there were people like, no, we can get a better bill. And what ends up happening, she doesn't win. They don't get a better bill, and Trump gets the credit for the First Step Act passing. That's one of those examples in politics where you can push and push and push and push and push, but you sometimes have to accept the reality that if it's the First Step Act, let me take the win today, and let me come back with the Second Step Act.
Right. So the second story you told there about people not wanting to take the better bill before the 2016 elections just makes my heart sink.
I talked to people who were literally involved in those negotiations who were just like, what the hell are y'all doing? It was so frustrating to them that would happen.
Right. So, because I would say, I would probably say that I'm a progressive and a pragmatist. So I would have tried to pass the policy when I knew that I had power and not wait in the interim. But the thing that I would add to the story that you were telling, both the 64 Fannie Lou Hamer story and this story right here you were just telling about the First Step Act, is that there is a role for everyone, right? Like the folks that were pushing for something better is the reason why that when it came back to the Senate, they had to go back and adjust it. Now, was it as good as what you were saying? No, but if Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee wasn't there like pushing, right, then we would have gotten the even less good bill. And the same thing is like if Fannie Lou Hamer and those folks from the movement weren't pushing in that moment, then we don't get the integration in 68. So we do, like, I think that in some ways there's like often a push for us to have this like false, like it's an either or, either we have this or we don't. I mean, there's a role for folks to push, even if you don't necessarily like win the election, that outside push actually allows us to like move towards something better. Even if we don't necessarily get the ideal, like that progression towards something better is actually a win in of itself. And then you come back to your point, you fight another day, and maybe eventually you get to the dream policy or impact that you're hoping for, but we don't even get to that next step of a more progressive bill if there's not someone on the outside agitating.
Yep. And that's why, listen, and Bishop Barber and I talk about it all the time, when there were people like him and Cliff Albright and others who were saying, y'all need to codify the VRA, and you get people like, well, no, don't push Biden on too much on this thing. Like, no, you have to do this. And we see what happens. So, I mean, just like a lot of Democrats, they assume that Roe v. Wade was settled law. Again, so you said it best. You can be progressive, but also a pragmatist. I just think a lot of times that you have a lot of people who are pragmatists, who don't want to be progressive, a lot of progressives who ain't pragmatists at all, and it's all or nothing. And I'll close with this. I'll never forget being on CNN, and you had Eric Erickson, then with RedState.com, and he was talking about the Tea Party, and he's like, principles matter more than anything else, even when we lose. And Bill Bennett goes, what the hell are you talking about? He said, you would rather lose the election. He said, are you nuts? And it was hilarious sitting there where Bill Bennett was going, you know, you can't change any policy if you're in the minority. And I was like, he got a point. Let me go to a break. I'll be right back. On the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Hey everybody, I'm T.D. Jakes, and I want to encourage you to watch Roland Martin Unfiltered. It'll blow your mind.
Pollution from Elon Musk's xAI data center project is primarily affecting African Americans. xAI installed 59 natural gas turbines in black communities in Tennessee and Mississippi, where residents already experience higher rates of lung disease. The installations took place without federal clean air permits, allowing emissions to exceed the federal limit. In April, the NAACP and the Southern Environmental Law Center filed a lawsuit to delay the project, arguing that the turbine emissions violate the Clean Air Act. In June, the Justice Department asked the court to dismiss the lawsuit, saying that restricting the turbines could threaten national security interests because xAI's systems support U.S. military operations, including operations involving Iran. The court has not taken any new action on the lawsuit. This is a significant issue, and it goes to show you that he has this administration in his pocket, Mustafa.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, if it was anybody else who tried to move forward with building something without getting those permits, those air permits, they would be in front of a judge. So unfortunately, there's so much here to actually unpack. When you're talking about these big, giant mega centers, there are huge impacts, public health impacts to the folks' bodies who are living right there. This thing is putting out NOx, nitrogen oxides. They're putting out carbon monoxide. They're putting out, there's formaldehyde that's also there. Formaldehyde is tied to cancer. And there are a number of other things that are coming out of these stacks. And unfortunately, the community that's there is already dealing with lots of cumulative impacts from other polluting facilities that are there. So for the state or the federal government to not be doing their job and making sure they're enforcing the laws fully, no matter whom it is, just puts a crosshair on these communities. So we got to make sure that we're addressing this issue, but also learning, because there are a number of other, I think there are 4,000 to 4,500 other data centers that are already online across our country. And there's a huge amount of additional ones that are coming. And it's vulnerable communities who often carry the burden.
Katrina, Donald Trump is just letting these folk do whatever they want to. I mean, they're turning over lands, big business, they're wiping everything away. Again, the raping and pillaging of America is happening before our very eyes.
Absolutely. And sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They seem to, capitalism is all they're thinking about. That is the only principle that they have. And so they're taking over national parks if they can right now. But because this is not new, sadly, it is not new that when they put in companies and factories in areas, they're typically in areas that will affect the Black population poorly. It has been shown countless times, Mustafa could speak more intelligently about it, about the levels of diseases like cancer and asthma, how high they are, because simply we are in areas that are, getting the smoke from these factories. Our water is affected. Because again, there is no protection for our lives. Again, it's Black lives do not matter. And of course, we can't expect Trump to care. And the fact that this man is coming in, Elon Musk is coming in, and he hasn't even gotten the permits to do this work, but no one cares. It's just, go ahead. It's, it blows my mind that they're getting away with not following the rule of law whatsoever.
Katrina?
This is an example of all of the ways in which this administration is undermining the levers of our democracy, to the point of him not needing a permit to go in there. We know about, there is obviously moneyed interests that are influencing our government in this moment. And so the fact that there's no permit, the fact that there is really no judicial pushback on this, the DOJ, who you think would actually be on the side of protecting the health of its citizens, is actually saying, oh no, we actually shouldn't regulate this because of some type of military issue. So it's not just the agencies failing at their job. It's the DOJ failing at their job, and in this instance, the courts are not intervening in this moment where he is running roughshod over the laws that already exist in this country. So to our earlier discussion about elections have consequences, it's not just the people who get elected into office. It's all of the ways in which the executive branch can influence how we live our daily lives and how we experience government.
All right, then. All right, folks, quick break. We come back. ShopBlackStarNetwork.com marketplace segment. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Hey, I'm Tasha Cobbs, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. But I need a little filter. I need something. Blow me out. Make me look 35.
Or the unwinding after a long day, set in the mood for self-care, or just craving that cozy ambiance, we have some clean wax candles to give you all the vibes without the guilt. Candle company Tribe and Oak was founded by husband and wife Taylor and Kareem because Taylor struggles with asthma and found that traditional candles aggravated her condition. They join us right now. I'm glad to have you here. Okay, so all right, so explain to all of this candle thing. So when you say clean candles, when you say clean wax, what does that mean?
It means that it's not going to irritate you. I actually was just watching your last segment and we were talking about Elon Musk building these centers and it's polluting our air. If you are in an urban population, that happens to you all the time and it's been happening to us for years. So that's why you'll see a lot of Black and brown people who have asthma and eczema. It's just something that we've had to deal with because our urban areas are being polluted. So in answer to that, we created a candle that would not amplify those things. A lot of times you'll have things that have like a strawberry shortcake smell. It's an artificial thing that you burn, right? And it gets into the air. A lot of people will get headaches. They'll start sneezing. You get the black soot on the walls. You're breathing that into your lungs and that's not clean. So for us, we decided to do a coconut soy wax candle with a wooden wick. So it's more smoldering than a big burn. And we use essential oil-based fragrance oil. So those things are not going to irritate you. It's as safe as you can get when you're burning a candle.
All right, so this is leather, what is this? Leather Santal coconut spy wax. 6.5 plus hour burn time.
Yes, it's a good one too. It's one of our favorites. It actually started off as a limited edition probably about a year and a half ago, but our customers have loved it so much that we haven't been able to take it away. It's really one of our best sellers. It's a good one.
Okay, so we also have here, we've got another one here, Kareem, citrus pine coconut soy wax, sustainable vegan hand poured 6.5 hour burn time, made in Brooklyn, New York City.
Yes. Yes, that's one of our best sellers, actually. We wanted to just find just fragrances that were bright and, like Taylor said, not anything that was artificial. So we did like a lot of testing, a lot of research, and we came up with a lot of different scents that would just capture nature. And that was one of our best sellers to start. And then we just kept going on. We have a lot of different fragrances that you see on our website, but this is the one that's the best.
Cool. And so how long have y'all been doing this?
We just turned 5, actually. Yeah.
Say it again?
The COVID business.
Since COVID.
Okay. So you started during COVID. So what? Y'all were just sitting around. Y'all were stuck in the house. And you wanted to burn some candles, and it was like, damn, we can't burn no candles because your asthma gonna get messed up.
That's exactly what happened.
Okay, so then what? So do y'all have a background in this, or do y'all sit here and say, well, man, we need to Google some stuff to figure out what in the hell can we do?
We had to Google some things. So it started off, we both actually work full-time jobs, and I was doing my full-time job, and I was working during COVID in Australia. I came back to New York. I don't know if any of your viewers are from New York City, but I landed a housing lottery apartment, which was a big deal. My family came and moved me before I even arrived. So when I got there, it wasn't so safe for me to go outside, and I had a new house that I wanted to create an ambiance, get a vibe going. So that's kind of how we did it. It was kind of just a project for us to do together and reconnect. And then we shared it with family and friends, and they're like, hey, you have something here. I think you need to take it to the next level. And Kareem convinced me. I wasn't convinced. I like my money when I know it's coming, from my 9-to-5 job. So being a business owner wasn't really how we started everything, but it's where we landed, and we wouldn't take it back for the world.
So you left the job?
No, we're still working. We are hustling, okay?
All right, cool. Questions from the panel. Let's talk to first one, candle burning Randy.
I do burn a lot of candles. I have a question. So you said this was great for people with asthma, but I would think that it would have great benefits for even people who don't have asthma like me, as far as just having clean air.
Yep, absolutely. So it's great for everybody. It was made for people with asthma. It was like, essentially, if you have respiratory issues and you're sensitive to that, it's not going to harm you. But we found that a lot of people with pets, expecting mothers, or mothers with new babies, or people who just really are intentional about getting things that are more sustainable and vegan, they're also our customers too.
Especially for the children also.
Yep.
Katrina.
I love this. I love let's buy black. And when you were talking about that, we were just also talking about there's so much happening in the world right now. And so I would imagine too that people look to your products as a way to relax, light a candle. Is there any implications of using these eco-friendly products as a way to actually help people calm their nervous system in this moment where we are ramped to 100 all the time?
Aren't we?
I would say so. We use natural.
Go ahead, Kareem.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, we use natural ingredients, essential oils, a wooden wick. It has a nice crackling noise. So when you come home from a hard day at work, like you mentioned, you can just unwind, light the candle, you hear the nice sound, and you can just imagine you're not in New York or wherever you are. You can imagine you're on some tropical island or somewhere like that. And that's part of the vibe that we are trying to set. Mostly is about the health, but we do want to add other just ways how to relax people, because people are stressed out nowadays.
Absolutely. Like, you could come, one of our best sellers is a coconut sandalwood. Since it has the warm sandalwood and coconut, it's really warm and calming. So that's good for that. We have botanic fig and sea salt orchid because it's our spring summer season. So when people want something a little bit brighter, they've just cleaned their house, then you can light those for those vibes. So we have an array of different fragrances kind of for different things. All of them set amazing vibes at home though.
Mustafa.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing this. There are 24 million folks in our country who have asthma and 7 million kids. So you got a whole lot of folks who should be looking at your product and considering to purchase it. You talk about cruelty-free products. It's right there on the screen as well right now. Can you talk about why that's important? Because some folks might not understand how other candles are often made and what the difference is with yours.
Kareem?
We just want to just make sure that everything is just natural and sustainable and vegan. And once you do the research about what that means, it may not be your cup of tea. So we just want to make sure nothing is hurt in the process of making our products. We want it to be health oriented. And like I said, we have a positive goal that we want to reach out to our community. And this is where we start. And using all natural ingredients, things that won't hurt anybody or anything, is the way how we want it to go.
And just to add to that, like kind of what is out there, we have some of these big companies that use a lot of paraffin wax, and a lot of that is derived from fossil fuels and oil. So those things just are not good for you. We're using coconut soy wax. This is usually food grade material, so it's a lot safer for you, especially since you're burning it. You are ingesting it into your body in some way. So doing things that aren't, or using products that aren't using paraffin waxes is really, really important to us, because there was no way that we could, use something derived from rubber and oil and give that to people and expect it to be a clean burn. That wouldn't be clean at all. So for us, that was the biggest part of research. The second, as Kareem mentioned, the wooden wick. This is something that's also, it's a recycled wooden wick, so that helps us lean into our sustainability goals. And a cotton wick, I mean, you have them everywhere, they're good, but it's just the way that they burn. Because it catches a big flame, sometimes you'll see it and it'll get all of the black soot on your walls. With the wooden wick, it just doesn't do that. It's not a big flame, it's more like a smolder.
Give me this here, Dahlia Amber Diffuser Reed. So sustainable vegan. So I've got this and I've got this. All right, what is this?
So that is for people who don't want to burn things. That's our flame-free reed diffusers. We have 4 different fragrances. The Dahlia Amber is our newest one. You put the sticks right in there. People usually sit them in bathrooms or places. You set it and forget it. So when you put the stick inside, it's going to soak up all the liquid and it comes out the top with the reeds. Kareem has one, don't you?
So you stick this, you stick one of these in the bottle and then just let it sit there.
Well, it comes with... Yep, you let it sit there. It comes with 10. We tell people to start off with usually about 5 of them, because the more reeds you put in, the stronger the fragrance. So if you're going to put it in your bathroom, I would say 5. And if it's something maybe you want to refresh it, you're not smelling it anymore because your nose has gotten used to it, then you add a few more reeds in there or you flip them over. But you'll usually find those in bathrooms or kitchens or some places that people don't want a flame. Gotcha.
All right. Well, I'm burning stuff. So as you see right here, I'm burning. We got candles in the studio. So yeah. Yes, love it. So when we have our interviews and our stuff over here, we actually have them. So all right, cool. So folks, Tribe and Oak, if you go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, shopblackstarnetwork.com, you can check out their candles. How many different candles do y'all have?
We have 8 different fragrances. They change in the fall, winter. So the Botanic Fig and Seesaw are only here for the spring, summer season.
Got it. Okay. All right. Again, y'all, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, check out their products, and remember to support them. You support us as well. And so we certainly appreciate it. Karen, Taylor, and Kareem, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
All right, then. Say it again.
I said bye-bye.
All right. Take care. All right, folks, just a couple of more stories here. Be very careful when you talk trash on social media, because folk will track you down. So a Chelsea Gray, who plays for the Las Vegas Aces, posted this on social media, and it says, this was a message I received after our game yesterday. And it said, "You suck ass, ugly ass nigger." And it said, "People act like we just make this shit up, and the audacity to tell us as athletes to shut up and dribble." Well, it didn't take folks long to identify this idiot, Nick from Texas. You see right here, boom, Nick, Texas, fitness, concert, traveling outdoors, and it says sales. So when she posted that, they busted that. So then all of a sudden people said, "Hey, Hilton Hotels, Hilton Honors, this individual works at one of your Texas locations. He's wearing a Hilton name tag in his Instagram story. Is this the type of employee conduct y'all accept, condone?" That was about 24 hours ago. Well, this is on ESPN. Fan fired after alleged. First of all, I hate these dumbass headlines. Fan fired after alleged racist message. The fool called her a nigger. It wasn't no alleged. And so Hilton Grand Vacations announced the firing in a statement issued to multiple media outlets on Tuesday, one day after Gray posted a screenshot of a message on her Instagram account that showed a fan calling Gray a racial slur. The person responsible for posting this information is no longer with the company. Hilton Grand Vacations said in a statement, his behavior was in violation of multiple company policies and does not reflect our company's values in any way. Well now, Katrina, these racists gonna learn. You send somebody a DM, they can track your ass down.
Right. What do they say? Mess around and find out. So hey, absolutely. That's one moment where I'm grateful for the online warriors who are doing the investigative reporting to find people and hold them accountable. You know, people always want to talk about the First Amendment, to be able to say whatever they want to say. Yes, you can say it, and then you can also deal with the consequences on the other end. And so this is exactly what happened, and I'm glad that it happened.
Show your ass is going to be a problem, Randy.
Absolutely. I get such joy. At least once a day, there is a situation like that and people are losing their jobs left and right. I'm like, that racism sure is expensive, but you know, some people are married to it. But I get joy watching them having to have some consequences.
Mustafa.
Street justice is a good thing.
If you're going to say it, be ready to pay it. You know, that seems to be the only thing that gets so many people's attention, unfortunately. They don't know how to be human. They don't know how to live their lives with kindness and dignity. But, you know, what they do respond to is when you hit them in the pockets.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, folks. Uncle Nearest and Nearest Green Distillery founder Fawn Weaver, who refers to herself as the People's CEO, apparently is out of a job in a new court filing disclosed on July 10th. The court-appointed receiver, Philip G. Young, Jr., who's overseeing the Trouble Whiskey Company, stated that Fawn and her husband, Keith Weaver, were terminated and removed from any involvement with Uncle Nearest, effective June 1st. This information was included in his fourth quarterly report. Young mentioned that removing the Weavers was not an easy decision, but it has led to less confusion within the company. The Weavers remain individual defendants in a lawsuit filed by Farm Credit Mid-America against the company. The lawsuit alleges more than $100 million in outstanding principal and seeks the appointment of a receiver, a request that was granted in August 2025. Farm Credit claims that Uncle Nearest has been in default since January 2024. Young anticipates filing a notice of a proposed sale of the company's core assets within the next 30 to 60 days. Fawn Weaver launched Uncle Nearest in 2016. And the whiskey debuted in 2017. Since then, it has rapidly expanded into all 50 states and a dozen countries. It has been a lot of litigation back and forth over the last several months. She often is posting on social media about what is going on. And so look forward to hearing what is the next issue here. Certainly a story folks did not anticipate, but so we'll give the update when we can. Katrina, Randy, and Mustafa, I certainly appreciate y'all being on today's show. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Hey, folks, Lamont Bagby, he runs the Virginia Democratic Party, and when we were at the Commonwealth Gala, I had an opportunity to catch up with him as he laid out his strategy to keep winning in Virginia. Folks, Lamont Bagby heads the Virginia Democratic Party. For folks who don't understand what this event is, it's your annual event. Is it your largest annual fundraiser for the party, or is it your annual sort of party celebration?
It is actually a little bit of both of them, as you can imagine. It is the event that we have annually. It used to be the J.J. Dinner. We changed the name to the Blue Commonwealth. It is a long-standing event. We haven't had it in this space in over 10 years. We moved it because it was getting bigger, but this year we wanted to bring it back and make it more intimate. Mark Warner, as you know, had a rough couple months. He lost his daughter, but he also announced that this will be his last time running. And I thought it was important for us to have an intimate event. Well, we didn't have a keynote speaker from out of town. There's plenty of them to come from out of town, but we wanted to make sure.
Because last year, Governor Westmore
came and called us Southern Maryland. But we love Governor Moore and looking forward to supporting him. But we wanted to really highlight Mark Warner and also Don Scott, Jay Jones, Ghazala Hashmi, and Abigail Spanberger, because we had some tough races last year. And then, as you know, we won that referendum. Thanks for your support and coming and making sure we went to the HBCUs, including my HBCU, Norfolk State, to make sure that we got that word out.
So I interviewed Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries a couple of days ago. And when I interviewed him, he talked about, and I asked him about targeting black voters, hitting the ground, touching people. And he referenced what has happened in Virginia. He referenced the work that I've done with Don as well. And what have you been saying too? First of all, have other party leaders been asking, hey, what was y'all blueprint? I asked Don the question, he's like, not enough for asking that. But to me, if you are a state Democratic Party leader, your phone should be blowing off the hook, especially in all these states where you got lots of African Americans, asking the question, how did you expand your numbers in the House? Yeah. How did you hold the Senate? How did you win the governor's mansion? How did you flip these other statewide positions? And that's about touching, engaging, and spending on the ground with the black folks and not assuming they're going to show up.
Yeah, well, and I just became chair of the party a year ago. And as you know, I mean, you've looked at our numbers. You shared numbers that we didn't see. So you looked at our numbers. A lot of folks think that Virginia is a blue state. Virginia is purple as can be, but we know we have to go out and do the work. And, you know, time and time again, we have an election every year. And so the things that we did with you, the stuff that we do related to our outreach, I mean, you think about it. Before I became the chair of the party, I was chair of the Black Caucus. And we grew the Black Caucus from 18 members to now 38 members.
Wow, that's double.
While I was the chair.
Wow.
And that was intentional. When you start supporting leaders of color, black leaders, and you start getting people like Don Scott, Louise Lucas, Charnel Herring in leadership roles, they are then charging the team to go out and be conscious about being fair, about allowing people to pick the person of choice.
But isn't it also telling, and I've been calling them out, isn't it also telling your traditional white consultants, hey, y'all been losing. You might want to switch up what you're doing because you just pocketing money and we're losing when the point is to win.
Yeah, and knowing who to talk to. I mean, it's some people that put on a show and make it seem like they can connect with black people. But then there are people that, I mean, listen, black folk can see through it.
Yep.
And they know when somebody's blowing smoke. And so it's important for when we go out, we're our most authentic self. And that our staff and those people knocking doors are on message. And the message has to be what the people on the doors care most about. And I think even after we won, when we came back in the session, led by Speaker Scott, Louise Lucas, and the work with Abigail Spanberger, we delivered a lot of good stuff.
Right, but the point is, you have to deliver on what you said you were going to do, otherwise people get frustrated. As a black male who leads the party, what are you saying to Ken Martin and others, what they're going to have to do to talk to, engage, and regain the trust of black men?
I'll tell you, it's a combination of things. We have to spend money in the community. We have to spend money with the black community. A lot of black folks don't know what the opportunities are to work under the infrastructure, not just of the party, but under the campaigns. And so we're making a real assertive effort, and you've been a part of that, of going into our HBCUs, and then also going to our PWIs and finding those young black scholars that are interested in getting involved in politics.
What would you say, and again, here we are 5 months out, and I was discussing a couple of guests ago, how folk have to understand how politics works. The reality is, you're gonna have a constitutional amendment. You got reproductive rights, but you got a constitutional amendment restoring the voting rights for formerly incarcerated. That doesn't happen if you don't have the right folks who are elected, who are able to pass that twice for it to even get on the ballot.
Yeah, and you know, we get lost in and not lost because it's important stuff. A lot of the stuff that we talk about first. But I carry legislation this year to finally make African American studies a high school course that's a verified credit. So now history, Black history will be taught in all of our high schools.
Okay.
As a verified credit, not just an elective, but as a verified credit.
So that'll be a mandatory class.
A mandatory class.
Got it.
And then the other thing is Sunday voting.
Now why you didn't text me that? I didn't know about that about the African American Studies thing.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta tell a brother. See, I could have been talking about it.
Yeah.
So when does that go into effect?
That goes into effect July 1.
So when they go back from the school year in the fall, mandatory credit.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right.
And the other thing is, you know, when we talk to the ministers going into this campaign, you know, I carried legislation back in 2020 that would allow localities to do Sunday voting.
Okay.
But they didn't really want to do it. So a lot of them now it's mandatory.
There you go.
That we have two.
Because a lot of places, they got rid of souls to the polls.
Yes. Now we got early voting 2 Sundays before every election.
Okay.
And you know we got 45-day voting here now. And mail-in. Those are all things we did under our trifecta the first time.
And the point I've also raised is that we saw in 2020, when you expand access to the ballot, you're expanding the electorate. And Republicans have actually been on record as saying, if you expand the ballot, we lose.
Yeah.
So they want fewer folks voting.
You want to scare them. Yeah.
Last point, when I said you have to deliver, that's the other thing. That what people have been critical of Democrats in different places, that folk run, make promises, don't deliver, and then offer excuses as to why they couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, even if I wanted to backtrack on some of the stuff, those other 37 Virginia Legislative Black Caucus members, led by Louise Lucas, Don Scott, Mamie Locke, and Luke Torian, they're going to hold me accountable. Iron sharpens iron. We're going to hold each other accountable. And so this work that we're going to do coming into the next session, as you said, we have 3 constitutional amendments we're going to fit.
So you got reproductive rights, restoring voting rights, voting incarcerated. What's the third one?
Marriage equality.
Got it. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So we got our work cut out, but we're going to get it done.
All right, last thing for you. Look at that camera right there. There's somebody who is watching, who is listening, and they are saying, listen, I don't care about no politics. It means nothing in my life. My vote is a waste. I don't even want to get registered. What do you tell that person?
I tell that person, get out and vote. And it's easy to just say get out and vote, but don't take the work that people are doing every day for granted. Folks are hurting, whether that's health care, whether that's housing, and once you get folks elected, they can do the right thing by the right people, and folks can get housing, they can get health care, we can get quality education. We have the resources. We just have to make sure that we are seeding into the communities that need it the most. And I really appreciate you, Roland, for taking the lead on this, coming down and supporting us, because there's a lot of work to be done.
All right, Chairman Lamont Bagby,
Thank you, sir.
Virginia Democratic Party, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you, sir.
All right. All right, folks, that is it for us. If you want to support our work, please join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. We're about 500 from having 50,000 people donate to our platform since we launched September 4th, 2018. Get your name on the list. We run it every single Friday of every donor who is given. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. Also, that's for credit cards as well. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get out Roland Martin Unfiltered swag, plus our America at 250 shirts as well by going to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com. These are shirts, but actually, y'all you need to get the updated ones. They should have America at 250 on top of those, but these are shirts available on the website. Of course, support our black-owned products. Of course, we had the company, Tribe and Oak, just had them, and their candles right here, as you see. Candles right here. So go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, get their candles, please, and support the other companies that are on our on the site. All of these companies you see here are black-owned companies, and so please support them right there at shopblackstarnetwork.com. Don't forget, download the app Fan Base. Follow me at Roland S. Martin. Folks, I appreciate it. And also, I'm rocking today Alabama A&M University. And y'all told y'all, if y'all go to HBCU and you don't see me wearing your HBCU, that ain't my problem. That means I ain't being invited to your campus. So I only rock HBCU gear on the show, and I've actually been to the campuses, and so that's what's up. So if y'all want me to wear y'all school stuff, tell y'all school to invite a brother. I've been to Alabama A&M a couple of times, and I certainly appreciate them as well. Alcorn, chill out. I'ma wear y'all stuff too. I got Alcorn, I've been there. Alabama State, I've been there. Matter of fact, do I actually have Alcorn gear? Alcorn, did y'all send me some gear? I think y'all did. I know I have Alabama State. Anyway, we'll check it. All right, y'all. I don't know who I'm wearing tomorrow, but it'll be some HBCU tomorrow. All right, y'all. That's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.